I will call the meeting to order at 5:02 p.m. Any adjustments to the agenda beside moving the item 5C up so we can speak with our legislators?
No problems here with that. I think we're all good.
Okay. So I know I missed last month's meeting, and I imagine we have our esteemed legislators here to talk to us about what's happening with housing and homelessness at the State House this year. Senator Perchlik, Representative Wazazak, I don't know who wants to begin. I'm not sure kind of which body is moving items first this year.
Well, if it's a budget thing, maybe the House. I don't know if Teddy has more info than I do.
Okay. Yeah, I have some info. All right. So there is the Human Services Committee has been working on a bill under the in partner. It's a bipartisan bill, and it's been worked on in partnership with the administration to do a bit of restructuring in how shelter programs are run, and the intersection between the hotel rooms, um, and overall case management programming. So the bill would set up and this is based on a conversation I had this morning. And so, of course, this could all change, and I'm sure some of it will change when it gets over to the Senate side. But basically, the bill aims to create a tiered system of shelters. So there would be low barrier shelters, which are just like, good old fashioned walk in, have a place to sleep overnight, and then, move on in the morning. Structured, what they're calling structured shelters, which would be a bit more long term and have more case management capacity. And then service shelters, which would be for those individuals who have very specific healthcare needs, etc. Um, and it all is operating under, I believe the number is around $80 million. Senator Perchlake might be able to correct me on that. The administration basically said, like, here's how much money we're willing to spend on this program. Now, you, House Human Services, design a program that spends that amount of money. And so that's what the goal has been has been focused on, like I said, creating this tiered system of shelter and really investing in strong case management and strong connections to services. There are limits that have been put on use of hotel rooms, with some exceptions slash extensions possible if there's truly nowhere else for folks to go. But that was a red line with the administration. That's been something that the governor has strongly stated, that he wants to phase out use of the hotel rooms. So the bill would, put some parameters and put some limits around that. And the approach that the committee has taken this year has been to really find something that can get across the finish line and signed into law. That's not the status quo. And, I have much different opinions than the governor on most of this stuff, including the use of hotel rooms. But just acknowledging the fact that if there were not limits placed on the use of hotel rooms, and that if additional money beyond the bucket that the administration provided, he would veto the bill, and none of us want to go through another veto situation with a homelessness bill, acknowledging that the status quo is not working for anybody. So there's a lot more details, which frankly I'm not familiar with because I'm not on the committee. And like I said, things have still been moving a bit. But that's the general direction that the House is heading in at this moment. And like I said, it could always change, especially in this moment in the legislative session. There would also be monies in that bill for municipalities to access for services to assist with the shelters. And I have asked, that is not intended to be for staff time. Just frankly speaking, on this meeting, funding Tessa's position, that is not something that this bill contemplates using money on. So I know that, we've had conversations with Senator Perchlik about how important of a priority that is. So, not an active conversation right now in our chamber, but expect that to be an active conversation when it gets to the Senate. So those are like the super, super high level um, pieces of where the House bill is at the moment.
I appreciate that, Representative. Thank you for that. Senator, did you want to jump in or anything to add?
I don't have much to add. That's kind of my understanding. I mean, that's more information that I had. I knew they were working on the bill. The governor had, as Teddy said, had a proposal. It was actually better than I thought. I mean, it could have been worse. It wasn't what we
Yeah.
want. It could have been worse. Like he's still allowing use of the hotel rooms. He's allowing some flexibility, it seems to me. Um, but there's more money is needed is the problem. And where we get that. So it seems like the Senate Health and Welfare Committee, which would be our committee that works on housing, this kind of housing, that we did get a housing bill from economic development and housing, but there was nothing about the unsheltered in that bill. There was just a focus on building more housing of all different kinds, but not shelters of any kind. But health and welfare, I think, is just waiting for this House bill and also seeing what the House appropriation does for money, if they're going to found some other money to add to that, or the big housing thing was the Section 8 housing, where we thought we were going to lose a lot of Section 8 vouchers. So we did put money, or we put language in the Budget Adjustment Act that the governor did sign that basically has the housing authorities the ability to apply for money or more to keep the vouchers, money that they would use for the vouchers, basically, so that they could get money next year. But since the federal situation was in flux, instead of just saying, here's $5 million, we said, apply by like April 15th, I think the housing authorities have to say, okay, here's exactly what we need. Keep the vouchers. So there's money set aside for those vouchers if we need them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Senator. It does sound like there's a real effort to push something across the finish line that everyone from all the political parties can sign up to, and then the governor will sign, right? Yeah. And with the
And
hotel,
I will,
go
sorry,
ahead.
Dan, just on that point, I just think it's important to point out that Teresa Wood, who's the chair of Human Services on the House side, Democrat from Waterbury, and Eric McGuire, who is a Republican from Rutland, co-sponsored this bill.
Great.
And so that was just also an important, not all the Republicans are going along with the committee, but what I'll call the more sensible ones, like Representative McGuire, who know that the state, and of course, like being from Rutland, us being based in Barre, have a understanding of how severe the situation is. So I think there's some not just political, but also geographic coalescing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a quick question, Dan. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, please.
Trying to scooch in if I can. Do either of you know if the $80 million how the $80 million that we're thinking right now is tracking towards what's been spent in this particular fiscal year? And the second question, so that I don't have to keep interrupting, is around this tiered system that's been developed. I'm interested in whether a thought has been put into sort of like a 1-to-1 ratio. If we're limiting hotel room usage, then are we saying if we're taking away 100 hotel room availability, are we doing that in conjunction with the buildup of 100 shelter beds? Thank you.
Both very good questions that I do not know the answer to, but I will follow up. I'm expecting some written materials from the committee soon, because it's working its way through the legislative process. We should be voting this thing on the floor within the next week or two. So I'm expecting some written materials from the committee soon that give a section by section breakdown of what the intent is and what they're doing. So I'm writing down those two questions and we'll follow up.
Thank you.
Can I just come in on that one?
Please, Tess, go ahead.
That's here. So I know I'm being glib, but 80 million, how many Speranzas would that buy? Which are, how many units do you have, Kathy?
We have 41.
41 units that are, that's reclaimed a hotel that was, pretty much getting to be an eyesore in our city to, house 41 families or individuals. And, that's got supported services, you know.
And so what $80 million are you talking about specifically?
Didn't you say it was, what was the money that you were talking about?
That's what Teddy was saying he thought was in the
Yeah.
bill
Yeah.
or in
Oh.
discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, that 80 million. Okay.
I mean, Francis is a sweet example of what could be done with, these. I mean, these hotels are turning out to be eyesores anyway, and rehabbing them into a very useful and supported service places.
Yeah, and we've done several. So far, it's been all the projects that I've heard about have been successful.
Yeah, that's all.
Thanks, Tess.
Yeah, and what was your second question? That was the question about the
It was
80
the 80 million and whether there was discussion in terms of lowering the amount of
Replacing.
hotel usage to a commensurate increase in shelter beds.
My understanding was that the goal is, yes, that's the goal. But then the governor has done this a few times to us to say, like, we're going to ramp down the hotel room, but we're going to open these shelters. But he doesn't really ever open any shelters.
Right.
Or we open shelters that are very temporary and not good shelters. So they don't stay open and they cost way much more than hotels. So like he opened some shelters with some consultants that were costing way more than per night per person. And then he kind of tried to say, like, well, people aren't coming to them, so the per person is expensive. But so we're hoping hopefully we've learned our lesson on that. We can't just trust him that he will do that. That there's some more specifics. And I think that's part of the reason there's some more flexibility. He's like, okay, well, maybe other people can figure it out better. And if the agencies or municipalities can figure it out, then the money can go to them.
Got a quick question. And thank you. First of all, thank you both so much for being here. We really appreciate it. With the number of hotel rooms that we have this year, and from what I've read with how much they're going to be limited in the next year's funding, we are already struggling with so many folks who are sleeping outside. I mean, our colleague, Osa Bush here can talk to you and speak to that, how heartbreaking it is. And if this is going to just get worse next year, how best do we voice this to the powers that be to get the message across?
I mean, the governor knows. I mean, you could just keep just telling the governor, but I don't think there's a question that. I mean, he knows there's people sleeping outside. What his agencies say is like, well, we're going to deal that with these temporary shelters, or we'll increase it for cold weather, but it's not for lack of them knowing it's a problem.
And I think that, if you do want to share some of those stories, the bill's already been voted out of Human Services. I think it's in House of Approps. I don't remember. Your best bet, and I will keep you all posted when the bill gets set to Senate Health and Welfare. They're the ones who are going to have the next chance to make any changes to the policy. So if once I've gotten some written materials to you, and you have a chance to look at it and say, oh, like this might need to be stronger, or this might not work for us, providing that feedback to the Senate Health and Welfare Committee is your best bet. And that could be either in person. If you all wanted to come in, I'd be happy to talk to, I'm sure Senator Perchlik would be happy to talk with Senator Lyons about making sure you have some agenda time, or written testimony is always, you can write a memo to the committee. And, I feel like that gets said a lot, but we do read everything that comes to us, especially when they're coming from like a official body, such as, a committee like yourselves. So that'll be your next swing at influence on policy.
Yeah, the House Appropriations Committee has to vote the bill out by Friday. So they're probably, working furiously next, whatever that is, 2 days, this evening and tomorrow, put it together so they can vote it out on Friday. So there
And
might
I
be an
will,
opportunity there.
yep, no, sorry, Andrew, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, go ahead.
And just point of point of personal consternation that I feel the when Senator Perchlik mentioned earlier where we could get some more revenue, where like if we're doing anything besides what the governor wants, where are we going to get the money? He's been historically very opposed to this, but I am trying my little legislative tail off here to get us to raise taxes on the wealthiest Vermonters that just got a huge tax cut from the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. With estimates of bringing in over $150 million from just the top 5% wealthiest in Vermont to support, this community and folks who are being hit by the healthcare cuts, folks who are being hit by food insecurity and grocery prices. Haven't gotten much traction on the House side, unfortunately, but Senator Cummings, one of our other Washington senators, has been investigating a lot of this stuff, and I've been, frankly, pleasantly surprised by how much Ann is trying to get some of this through on the Senate side. So I just feel
Yeah,
every time we talk about money, I always feel the need to say, like, we could do it if we had the
yeah,
political will. It is possible, and I know Andrew's trying to.
yeah. And so Cummings says like trying to get a bill through her committee because she's got a couple of Republicans and it's kind of a swing vote, conservative Democrat on there. Um, she's probably not going to do the kind of wealth tax that we'd like to see, but she's talking about changing the brackets, basically maybe adding a top bracket, and it wouldn't raise that much money, but it might kind of redistribute the burden more fairly onto the top because she's feel like she can't get the votes or the votes from the governor if she just taxed that top bracket a lot.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, she is working on figuring out what she can do. And then my feeling is that the governor would go along with some kind of increase, especially if we're going to dedicate it to housing, including, homeless. And then also if it was packaged together with what he wants us to do on educational transformation.
Okay.
So if we said, okay, we're willing to go along on this education transformation, but we need more funding, then that might be some kind of grand bargain that he's willing to do. But I don't know.
Yeah. So it's both definitely not certain and we're not dead yet. So we're somewhere in between those two things.
A limbo that happens this time of year at the State House to many people. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, I know one of you had mentioned funding for Tess's position with the city of Barre, and I didn't maybe catch all of that. Is there any kind of update where that stands? I mean, I know this committee feels strongly that funding Tess's position is really, I mean, it's the glue that holds a lot of our efforts together on the ground. Is there any update there and anything we could do?
Can you tell me, is it funded is it just the position that the city created and funded, or does it have some other history or funding sources?
So it was an AHS grant on homelessness, but we fashioned it to be about homelessness, housing, and flood resiliency. So it's been funded for I started in November of 23.
23,
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
November 23.
Yeah.
And it did get extended once. So I'm just thinking that it's, I mean, that's their hope, to see it get funded again, and maybe with some more robust work around sharing with other communities.
And did other communities get similar grants, or are there like other positions funded, or that's just what Barre applied for? So Barry's the only one that used it for a position.
We had other communities use it, but none in central Vermont. Burlington, Rutland, maybe Brattleboro. Yeah,
Did they use it for positions as well?
similar. Yeah.
Well, do you know what the name of the?
Yeah. So, my Rutland counterpart is, oh my gosh, Chris Loris.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And do you know what the name of the program is, or what within what program the grants were?
Oh, it's under, I'm not sitting at my desk, so
Yeah. You
But
could
it's,
send Tess, if you just sent it to me later,
can,
because we would need to know where to put the money.
yeah, yeah,
And then we make sure that we say, okay, this is to extend the program and
yeah,
then try to narrow it so they don't spend it on something else.
yeah. That's good. It's under Lily's purview.
Yeah, if there's like a specific name of the program
Yep.
or anything, you could send me, that would be
Yeah,
helpful.
I'll see where what pocket they put it in.
Okay. Thank you, Senator. That'd be great. We
Yeah,
really
thank you.
appreciate Tess's work and want to see this continue. So I want to be sensitive to the time of our senator and our representative, considering they're still at the State House and working. Any kind of final questions or comments from the committee or anything else the two of you would like to let us know about?
Thanks for your work on the committee. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator.
And thank
Yes,
you
no,
both. And
deep
if you
appreciation.
need anything from any of us in terms of information, boots on the ground information, everybody on this committee in one form or another is doing this work and interacting with this population on a daily basis. And so we do have some boots on the ground here.
Yeah. I will say, just this committee, I work for the city, so I'm not on the committee. It's just amazing when you think about we've got it represented with Good Samaritan Haven, People's Health and Wellness, Washington County Mental Health, and Down Street, and Beth, who has done an amazing amount of work as a citizen and as a member of the church community. And it's a powerhouse team to be on a city committee.
Yeah.
And I appreciate all of you.
Thank
Yes,
you,
deep,
Tess.
deep gratitude for all you do. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Well, thank you, Patty, and we'll look forward to getting the follow-up from you.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks. Good luck in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
All right.
We're
Hopefully
gonna need
in the
it.
next few
Yeah.
weeks.
Great. Thanks, folks. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Hey,
Likewise.
bye.
Bye-bye.
It was funny. I was up there this morning and into the early afternoon, and things are going pretty well. And our lobbyist is like, "You don't need to come back the rest of the week." And then an hour later, she's like, "You need to come back tomorrow." So things are
Yeah,
just changing so fast.
yeah.
You can't even count on anything. So, whoa, look, okay. Uh,
We're trying to get volume to go up. We can hear you, but I'm just trying to figure out what is wrong. Because we're
Oh,
getting just the volume off of my computer.
okay, okay.
oh,
I'll try to ignore the video camera flipping upside down and spinning around the room.
roller coaster.
Yeah. I think Senator Perchlik mentioned, and Representative Wazazak as well, perhaps sending a memo to the Senate Health and Welfare Committee, outlining some of our maybe ideas and or concerns on how this housing bill is moving. And I'm kind of wondering what the committee thinks about, and maybe we could charge one or two of our committee members to draft something. I think we would have to get this in their hands before our next monthly meeting, just knowing the schedule of the legislature. And this would probably be in the Senate Health Care Committee within 2 weeks or something. I know they're talking about doing the budget next week on the House floor. So I'm kind of curious of the committee. Do we think this is a good idea to weigh in on the housing bill?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Anyone want to be the lead here?
No, not me. Please,
So in
not me.
terms of what I'm wondering what you're talking about, like, are we going to just put together something in writing? Or
Yes.
are we I mean, we can offer to have somebody testify, but I think just putting something in writing makes sense. Everybody
That's what I
can,
was, yeah, Kathy, the committee sending a memo to the Senate Healthcare Committee about the bill.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know, I can't make it work.
Yeah. Kathy, I'm wondering maybe the two of us, do you think we could, hash something out and then just run it by the committee before we send it?
100%, let's do it.
Okay, okay,
Is
sounds
there
great.
any data that you'd like to put in that I can be helpful with?
Oh, that's a good idea.
So I'm
Let's
just amassing data
Wes,
from,
do you know how many units? I mean, I can get from Downstreet, but Downstreet's a small portion. Well, it's a good portion, good size actually, but it's a portion of housing infrastructure that's being worked on in the city. And so I'm wondering if the
yeah,
city has any data as to how much housing is in the works and the possibility of like the timelines for that housing. Because if we compare and contrast that with all of the good work that's being done here in that. So let's say we've got 112 units that are in the works and they'll be done in the next 2.5, 3 years. And
right.
contrast that with, we also have 300 people in, or households in hotels, or 300 people in hotels in the area. And there's no way that that completely keeps up with the reality of the issue. I don't know. I'm just thinking about contrasting and comparing both of
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, do you think that's about permanent housing or, um, well, I think Down Street's probably a wash with where they go from 105 to Jefferson Street. So, yeah. Okay.
Yep. Um, and so Kathy, we'll talk offline about putting something together, but I think it was your point about making sure that the drawdown is coupled with a build up at the same time and kind of equal number of units. I think that could be kind of the crux of one of our messages to the committee as well.
And I
So,
know that they have heard that, by the way. I know that Julie has testified a couple of times and has said something similar, which is it's similar to housing, which is, from conception to reality on a shelter bed is not just, I want it, I've got it. It takes time. So to say on July 1 that this is just a flip of the switch and we're going to have
Right.
100 or 500 less hotel beds available across the state starting in December, and to just think that we'll be able to upscale 500 new shelter beds on,
Right.
like you can't, it's not going to happen. And so there has to be another fail-safe in that legislation that allows for the wiggle room on one side or the other as it shifts.
In real time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the more they hear that, the better. I think I read that they're going down to 300 beds, hotel beds next year.
And the thing that concerns me
Which is
about that is,
insane.
so if you think about, we are not the, oh, we are not a low barrier shelter option. Our hotel is not a low barrier shelter option. We certainly try to help everybody, and we will give folks a chance that haven't been put on our do not admit list yet, even if they have been on everybody else's generally. But when someone is exited and we are not going to take them back, if of the 300 shelter beds or even 500 across the state that are available, if we're 41 and we're the only one or one of maybe us with another small place in central Vermont, that will not provide enough options for folks throughout. I mean, never mind the number of beds, it just will not provide enough options.
Yeah.
Just won't.
What was the question about, like how long the wait list is to get into like Good Sam shelter versus, because we have someone that does the intake process, but she's also really into data and collecting that type of information. There was a question or something about like how long the wait list versus, or like how long it is to get on or get into a shelter bed.
Yeah.
Like what's the turnover rate, I guess would be a good way to put that.
That would be good. And we have a turnover rate as well. We have and it does ebb and flow as seasons happen and as
Yeah,
drinking gets more severe. And, it's not everybody by any means, but there are pockets of time when it's like more challenging than others. But we have turnover as well, even though it could be longer term during the winter and often is.
So that's something you'd want to see included in whatever communication we send in.
yeah, I mean, I think that would be.
The more data we can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
provide.
for sure. So if you have data or questions you feel like we should address or situations you think we should address, send it to Dan and I, and then we can try to formulate something.
yeah, I think if like by this time next week we have some kind of rough draft that we're working on, that would be a good
Yeah.
timeline Because yeah, the State House does move pretty fast, and we're probably looking at like, yeah, the start of April really to get this into the Senate
Right.
committee's hands.
Yeah,
So,
agreed.
okay. Any other kind of comments about what we just heard from our representatives or about the plan to write a memo to the Senate Healthcare Committee?
I would say if we don't hear back from, because Teddy said today, tomorrow, they should have, I think what he said was he should have like more of a draft of what's going on.
Yeah.
I do think looking at that in relation to how we're responding, because it's sort of like in the moment, this is what they're proposing, even though it's going to tweak and change. If we can make our own suggestions based on what that
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
So getting that out, I don't know who it's coming to. Is that coming to you, Tess, probably, and then out to us, or is it coming? However we get it, let's try to get it out to all of us as quickly as possible. And if I will commit to reading it that when I get it and not just putting it in my unread on my email list like I might do with other things so that we can respond more timely.
Okay,
Mhm.
it sounds like a great plan. And I'll text Teddy, like, honestly, like I heard that, the House Appropriations Committee will probably be working late Friday night. And there's a chance I might be there late Friday night with them. I'll reach out to Teddy on Friday evening and see if there's something he can send our way, or there might be
Right.
something posted on the legislative website by then. So,
And I'll follow up with them this evening to thank them and, slip in a reminder
But-
about that.
I have a logistical question, which maybe is a test question. Um, or maybe we have to go back to Nicholas, but if as this committee, if we are wanting to, if we are saying we are doing it on behalf of this committee, this is a city committee, do we have any limitations as to how we respond to a legislative body?
thank you,
That's a
Ken.
good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would run it, I think, yeah, running it by Nicholas, before it goes out, probably be the
Yeah.
best thing.
Yeah, if folks don't mind, I'll shoot Nicholas an email and just give him a heads up that we're talking about doing this. And if there's a strong reaction, I will let the committee know and we'll navigate that.
Perfect.
Yeah. Um, Jesus.
You had a
Okay,
thought
yeah,
there, Tess, and then it left?
this is what I wanted to say. Teddy's coming to the warming center on Monday morning when we make breakfast. So
Oh, great.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Great.
yeah. I wanted to chew his ear about a few other things besides just this stuff definitely, and then a few other things. But if you feel like coming down for breakfast, he's going to be there around 8:30.
8:30 Monday morning? Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta say, some days I'm coming into the clinic and just the smell of the breakfast, like my stomach instantly wakes up. And yeah.
It's good. Just come down.
I should actually. It's probably better than what I'm eating for breakfast, So,
Yeah.
yep.
Should this committee ask them maybe as we get later in the session and they might have 5 minutes or on a Monday if they want to do some small amount of a tour of our local facilities? Like you've got the warming center and then I'm sure you'll be able to at some point maybe show them where you've got the emergency overnight because it's really not in operation. I'm happy
Right.
to show them Speranza. I'm imagining Good Sam would be okay with like some version of looking. Yeah, no, I know it's not you. I 100% know it's not you, but also just like letting them know where this money is going and the good work that we're all doing here. And it gives them more of a firsthand knowledge. I'm leaving things out, but those were the things that came to mind immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that idea, Kathy. And I'm wondering if, maybe it ends up being a between legislative sessions
Yeah.
activity. I just know they're going to be probably too busy through May.
Yep.
And some of them have, day jobs that they have to do in between being a legislator. But I love that idea. We could just pack a committee in a van or something like that and drive them around Barre and show them all the good work we
The
do.
grand tour.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, moving on. Do we have any public comment or I don't think we have any guests.
We don't have any public here anymore.
Okay,
I
okay.
mean, Brooke and Tess technically, I guess, but they're honorary committee members.
Liaison committee, but no other guests. We also have the approval of the minutes from last month's meeting. I was not here, so I will abstain, but is there a motion to approve last month's meeting minutes?
Yes, I'll move that.
I'll motion to
Okay,
approve.
Kathy moved. Is there a second?
A second.
Also,
Oh, so it looks
Also,
like there's a second. Any discussion or changes of the minutes?
no,
No.
Beth rocks.
Yeah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and let the record show that I'll abstain from that one. Moving on to the crux of the agenda. I think maybe Osa, this might be you, camping items.
We are well, today we had a meeting with our two new volunteers that will be covering currently all of the shelters and outreach. One will be having a new new email address once we make it, that will direct all incoming donations to this person, and he will go through them
Oh,
in
nice.
written form and then get them over to the person that will be taking in and sorting through donations in person. Which will take a massive load off of me, which is wonderful. But on that note, outreach is in pretty desperate need for tents, tarps, and sleeping bags. There's a decent amount of folks that are running into weather-related needs for new items or dry items. We also always need socks, and we're running low on that. The Good Samaritan Haven website also has a pretty current list and the link to the gift drive. If anyone ever online sees our videos and wants to follow the Good Samaritan Haven.org website and find the donations page. To donate items either to shelter or to street. Yeah.
And Osa, just to clarify, I just did a quick Google search. So it looks like you have a page that says helpful items needed. Is that the page you're referring to? It talks about like food and meal donations. It says you no longer need everyday clothing, bed mattresses, or furniture. And then there's a list of like shelter items. So this is the site you're referring to, right?
Yes, this is, yeah.
Yep. So I assume there's I see a contact for the food.
Yeah.
And so if folks have, oh, so yeah, contact one of our shelter managers, Mark or Barbara, is that right?
Yeah, and it's gonna soon, it will be updated to the new volunteers instead of it.
Got it. Okay. So
Yeah.
maybe you should give a, I was going to, Peoples could do a social media post to like help spread the word about the needs. But do you want to kind of give us a heads up when you have the new names?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Okay, great. Great. Yep. Perfect. Okay.
Great.
yeah, I heard with the funky weather in the last couple of days, a lot of people just lost everything.
Yeah, and I have had three different folks reach out with their campsites that got flooded. From just groundwater
Yeah.
not being able to go into the ground. One of our folks, I drove by his site in around like 12:30 a.m. on my way back. I do a big loop around all everywhere. I just drive Washington County at least once. And then I head back home. It was 12:30. There was no flooding at his campsite. 5 a.m. that same morning, he said he woke up in the water, knee deep water in his
Wow.
campsite. He's reasonably close to a big waterfall area. It wasn't the waterfall that like overflowed or anything, but he's also in a low spot.
So it's just gathering.
And it just gathered there.
Oh.
Another guy woke up in like 6 inches of water, and got some blankets to just freeze and stay on his floor. So those are more moments like blankets, sleeping bags, new tent. The rainwater that then turns into ice has been knocking down tents. The wind has taken down tree
Wind is
limbs
crazy.
or trees. It's been,
We have a tent coming to one of those people.
yeah, yeah, one of those people is someone you know.
Yep. And we have a tent coming for them.
Yep, so he told me he's very
Oh, good.
excited.
Oh, good.
Yep. Yep, it's no matter whether it's getting warmer or not, it's still a new weather situation. It has like
Yeah.
not on all the wood pieces because we're in a lull right now. We're in a slower section right now, but that doesn't mean it stays like that for very long.
And we have
Until
the exits from the motels coming up in about 2 weeks.
yeah.
Although Hannah said that there were only 24 or 26, so in that range that were absolutely at the end on the 1st of April. But when I went back through our list, we have any number. We only have 3 or like say 4 of those at the end, but there are any number of folks who are within the next 15 to 20 days. Some of them on the 3rd of April and some of them, a little later in the month. So, so we've got a whole bunch of others that are going to be phasing out over that time frame in terms of eligibility for days.
And Kathy, is that just in our area, 24 to 26?
That is the Barre catchment area for folks who are in hotels. And that was for folks who are definitely going to be out of days on April 1st at the end of the cold weather exception timeframe. So it definitely isn't all of them, but it's a decent, like it's 2024, let's say. I don't quote me 100% on that number, but it's in that range.
Okay.
Yeah. At a
Anything?
time when it is going to be warm enough, it's not warm, but warm enough that the emergency cold weather options aren't going to be there. And then there's also a question as to how long Capstone's shelter will be open, because it was going to be April sometime, and then it's whether they can get any additional funding for it or not. And that's this whole thing of, well, if you're going to let that happen, we should have a place for that to be year round. That sort of real low barrier option.
Just because it's getting warmer doesn't mean
I
that
think they said,
just
Yeah.
sorry.
Go
I think
ahead,
they
Tess.
said the end of April.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
might be. Yeah.
Anything else on camping items and or the upcoming motel seasonal evictions happening?
No, I would say this is super hard for the folks experiencing it, and I will just say I think love your service providers too, because it's a really hard, speaking from my own personal experience, and I'm not in the same boat as sort of what OSA sees every day out there, having to be the person to say that someone has to leave when they haven't really done anything that would necessitate me being like, I'm sorry, this isn't a good fit for you here and you can't stay. It's a challenging thing to navigate because it's the system that's kind of broken. And yeah, sorry, I just had to say that out loud. I think it's really challenging
yeah,
in that way.
yeah. Outreach itself doesn't actually move anyone along. I won't mention area names because I don't need to. But there are towns locally in Washington County that request that of outreach. But we have other folks that are Good Sam adjacent that do outreach as well, that are able to go and give that information to someone that might, be staying underneath some train tracks or something. And that's an agency of transportation issue, because all different reasons of danger. And so then that just gets like, here's street outreach's information, here's how you can contact them and all the supplies that they can offer you. But you're not wrong. It's very, very difficult to just even be speaking with someone that has just been moved along and for whatever reasons and, yeah.
It's
a
hard
lot.
to be the
Outreach.
bearer of bad news all the time too. You know, as much as it's part of what we all do, you kind of, it's a challenge.
Yeah. Kathy, thank you for that reminder that these are real people with real lives who are being uprooted.
Yes.
I think for many of us, we can't even imagine what that would be like. Some of us have personal experience, but some of us don't. But so thank you for that reminder. Up next is the revisit the lockers, and I have to apologize. I don't have an update on that. I was going to reach out to the new Montpelier mayor, who I met a few weeks ago. Really seems like a great individual, and see if we can jumpstart that conversation about their lockers. So, um, and then up next was this having our representatives join us, which we moved up. So we do have about 12 minutes left, and I want to see, is there anything we didn't bring up today that should be discussed under other business?
I have a question. And I don't know if everybody was here when I said it at the beginning, but can we do a fully remote meeting? Something changed recently, and I can't remember if it changed that we could or if it was just something else that changed. But we were talking about it today, where as we were coming in, like, boy, if this had been fully remote, it would have been everybody's exhausted today, you know. So just a question.
I believe we can. I'll double check, but I believe it's okay to do fully remote because I think there are the Jedi B committee does fully remote still, and so I don't think that there's an issue with that.
I mean, I like us meeting in person, don't get me wrong, but if we ever got to that point where like nobody was able to come pick up the key and all of a sudden we were like, okay, we've just got to move this to a remote meeting, could we do it?
That's fine.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Good point,
I think
Kathy.
it has.
What?
I think you just want to make sure in the warning that you know you're going to be fully remote.
Oh, sure. Yep. Yep. So,
Yeah.
Tess, it sounds like you're gonna just double check that and get
Okay.
back to us. And so maybe at the April meeting, we could possibly go remote, considering I think we'll all still be pretty busy.
Well, I'll be at the bar.
Okay, perfect.
That that brings up a good point. I'm just gonna look at the April meeting.
Which I think, let's see, we have it
Oh,
listed.
okay, never mind. I think it's the 15th.
It is,
That's
yes. Yeah.
fine. I'm on
Yep.
vacation the next week. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't a conflict for me meeting you here in this space. I will also say, should we ever want to, we are now set up at Speranza to potentially hold meetings there. Which we don't need to. I mean, I know I'm betting this is probably more convenient for folks being a little closer to in town, but we
Yeah.
could do that.
I still haven't seen it, so I would love to go over sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
The
welcome to
tour
come
would be
over.
nice.
I'd love to give you the tour.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Any other business for the evening? And our next meeting is Wednesday, April 15th from 5 to 6, possibly completely remote. And if folks have any agenda items, please send them to Ann and myself. Kathy and I will be touching base soon to talk about this memo to potentially send to Senate Health. So,
Good.
okay. I will make a motion to adjourn at 5:51 p.m.
Standing vote.
Okay. Passes, right? Okay.
I think
Perfect.
everybody's good with that.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to speak for
Okay.
everybody.
Anything else before we close for the night?
Nope.
Okay. It's good to see you all. Thank you. And we'll
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, I know.